But we're going to reminisce a little bit. We were talking about WoW and everything that's coming down the line. But what about the old days? What about the old WoW? I miss when WoW was just a game. For some reason, this title hits me in the heart. Let's see what this is all about.
I miss when World of Warcraft was just a game to me. In fact, I missed when most games were just games. I was reminded of this last night while playing Quest 64, an old Nintendo 64 game.
Oh
There's
my God,
barely
I
any
remember this
direction,
game.
there's no objectives, and there's a ton of rooms and corridors and hallways
This
that
was like a Super Mario 64 knockoff. But I do remember this game. This game was cool. You just ran around exploring.
just lead nowhere. It annoyed me at first. I would say stuff like, why would the developers put that there if it has no purpose? Or I'd say something like, that's bad game design. But then I did some reflection. There was a day before good game design, when games weren't designed to keep you engaged or keep your dopamine levels high or give you constant breadcrumb rewards. There was a day when they were just games, to play without purpose just for fun. Almost like playing pretend when you were a kid. So why did the developers put that empty hallway there? Well, because someone may just want to explore around for fun. How about
Damn.
that? Playing a game for the fun of it.
Yeah, man, he's right. He's totally right. Game development has taken a turn, and I don't know if it's just the game developers or it's people as a whole. But there has been, there's always that meta chase. There's always that, oh, I got to find the best thing to put here. I got to max out everything. I got to be the best. There was a time in games where being the best wasn't a thing. Nobody gave a shit about being the best. All that mattered was just having fun and playing the game. I can't tell you how many hours I put into WoW early on. I'm talking like when I was 14, 15 years old, just playing, just doing what that guy was talking about. Wandering around Darnassus, exploring different lands, doing shit that had absolutely was benefiting me in no way other than simple enjoyment and exploration. That was a very fun thing to do back in vanilla, and I did it all the time, and I feel like a lot of people did. But now, if you do that, you're like wasting time. You're wasting your time. You're not getting better. You're not getting more gear. So you're not going to do it anymore because and game developers have programmed games to be that way now. Where it's like a constant, you got to chase the dopamine, get the better shit, do the better shit. Yeah, it's changed for sure.
I used to feel the same way about World of Warcraft. Nowadays, I care about item levels, I care about rating, I care about new content and the best talent builds and the top classes and the top
Yeah.
specs and the next patch and the buffs and the nerfs. And even Blizzard seems to have adapted to this style of thinking, making
I think you're right. Gaming going online kind of did change some of it, but it's weird because vanilla WoW was online. Like obviously it's an MMORPG, but yet I felt less pressure. I think because everybody sucked. It was like something about everybody sucked, so it was fun. Like you want to know, like even Fortnite. Fortnite was online, and everybody talks about the early days of Fortnite when everybody sucked, when nobody could build, the Mona Lisa or build the Eiffel Tower in 30 seconds, right? Like people enjoyed the game back then when everyone just kind of sucked and they were just having fun, and it wasn't as competitive as it is now, where that meta just keeps cranking up and the skill level keeps cranking up. It's always more fun in the early days.
every new zone and raid high octane and high priority in the storyline. There's no time anymore
Thanks,
to just
Brandon.
relax and play. But it wasn't always
Sam
like
grew out
this.
of his-
When I first started playing World of Warcraft in 2006, I was a dwarf warrior and I had no clue what I was doing. But I did know one thing. I loved being engrossed in the world.
Yes.
I would go into every building in Ironforge just to look around and think how cool it might be to just hang out here with friends and talk. Not
Dude, I
quest-
used to do this. I used to walk around the cities too and just wish it was real and explore it and have fun. And yeah, I did this all the time. And I wasted hours in this game just exploring cities and stuff like that. But man, it was the shit. It was a good time.
not leveling, not gearing, just hanging out in a cool, secluded place in Ironforge talking about life. Same thing for this random building in Orgrimmar. I barely made it to level 20 on that first character, but I probably explored most of the entire world map. And I
I don't know if you guys used to do this, but I used to go to zones that were like way higher level than me. Like I could not kill anything in this zone. That's why this, like right here, this image here reminds me of those days, because I explored this zone long before I was the level to go to this zone, right? But it was just so much fun in the adventure of like trying to dodge mobs, and I just wanted to see what was around and what was going on. So I would go into zones and just explore them even before I'd reach the item level. This is something I did all the time, or the general level to go into that zone, and it was just a good time, and it was an adventure in and of itself because I was always scared I was gonna die and I have to get back to my body and try to get out of the zone.
Still remember the awe I felt when I accidentally stumbled into the burning steppes by walking through the broken gate in the north of Red Ridge Mountains, and suddenly I arrived in fire and brimstone.
Yeah.
Seeing the blackened, smoky sky and the lava pouring from the mountains was amazing, and seeing the creatures and dragons that roamed the land made me excited to eventually come back and quest here, which I never did. Oops. But I do still remember that feeling, the wonder and the awe at every zone and every turn.
True.
And now I'm so familiar with every zone that I gotta admit I'm pretty killer at WoW GeoGuessr. So that begs the question, is this just a nostalgia thing? And I don't think so, as classic WoW and Season of Discovery in particular still have their moments of invoking wonder in me more so than modern WoW. And I think what it comes down to is the idea of a game being just that, a game. The process of not needing to follow an ideology of good game design, or retention practices, or meaningful progression systems, or balance. In the many empty buildings in each capital city, I feel the echoes of players and guilds that came before and probably hung out within their walls chatting in-game rather than using something like
cities are just not the same anymore. I don't know if it's when they went cross-server or what it was, but like if you played Alliance, hanging out in Ironforge was a thing. Like you logged in and you walked around in the main lobby of Ironforge between the bank and the auction house, and you just like looked at people. You find that paladin in fucking judgment gear, and you were like, my God, this guy's amazing. Or you just walk around, find two night elves dancing in a corner with some guy. He's clearly fucking tripping off and probably jerking in the corner, but it was immersive. You felt it. It felt like the city was alive. It felt like everybody was doing shit in the city. And yes, you would see guilds standing around talk. You'd be looking in trade chat to see where you could find a group. Man, it was different. And it did feel alive. Now, even if you have a ton of people like in Valdrakken, it doesn't feel the same. It doesn't feel as alive as it used to. And I don't know what it is about it. Maybe it's nostalgia. But there was something different about those old cities back in the day.
Discord to do voice chat. And even beyond the capital cities, there are empty vistas in areas of the game that some may consider useless or poorly designed that were really just there to add flavor for those who wanted it. And even endgame raids in classic WoW like Molten Core didn't feel as immediately pressing to complete as soon as you could. I mean, there wasn't always a world-ending catastrophe just on the other side if you didn't hurry up and progress through the raid.
True.
In modern WoW, there is a greater emphasis on the critical path and on progression for the sake of story, and in a sense, I get it. You have to keep the players engaged, you have to keep the stakeholders happy, and you need to constantly have high stakes.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, Blizzard already crossed the border of highest stakes of all time with the Shadowlands expansion and the universe-ending Jailer. I mean, how can you create another engaging story without putting the universe at stake again?
Yeah, there is a problem with that. It's the power creep, right? It exists in like every story that's ever been told. You see it in Dragon Ball Z. You know, the power creep keeps happening. You've seen it in Marvel's cinematic universe. So yeah, it is hard in World of Warcraft to go back to, well, there's a massive dragon in this cave, and this dragon's a problem, and we got to go kill it. When we're basically dealing with Titan planet destroying level threats, you know. The dragon is like, come on, man, I'll fucking solo that shit, dick slap it, and walk away. You know, it's hard to make a dragon in a cave a problem anymore. But man, back in the day, a dragon in a cave that you just happened to discover used to be, that was the adventure. That was the exploration. That was the cool part of the game. Now it's like, oh, you got to have something that's about to destroy the planet or universe to be worthy of your time, right? Yeah, Onyxia, exactly. Even things like Gruul's Lair and stuff, like these very early on bosses, you know, that's a BC boss, but still, there was something about those like minor level bosses, but they felt like a big threat. Now, you can't make them a big threat anymore.
That's just the point for me. I don't want another universe-ending...
Raiding cities and killing leaders, yes, that was amazing, and I used to watch YouTube videos about it all the time. I literally thought that was the end game. 14-year-old Sam thought that the end game WoW was joining a massive army and raiding the opposing faction's city. I had no idea about raiding or anything. I just thought, oh, that's the end game. I got to kill the orc guy.
World-ending or even continent-ending storyline. I want a lived-in world with smaller, more meaningful bite-sized stories that are fun to explore. I don't want a fresh new continent where it feels like nobody's ever been there before. I want to feel as if I'm part of the world again, not the champion of Azeroth. True. I want to walk around and explore the corners of each zone and building, not for a reward or a secret, but for the fun of it. Right. But the gaming landscape has changed. We don't need to talk using in-game chat anymore. Discord has a great interface, a bunch of communities, and it's easier than ever to voice chat with your friends. Back in the day, having a TeamSpeak or Vent server was a big deal, and having good enough internet to run that at the same time as playing World of Warcraft was an even bigger deal. Stereotypically nowadays, gamers are painted as these nitro-fueled, energy-drink-chugging, RGB lighting, enthralled adult children. And to pander to that stereotype, we...
Yeah, I have a lot of RGB in my setup. It's kind of true. I feel attacked right now. I'm not going to lie.
Need flashy games that pack a punch, and better pack one quick before your captive audience chooses one of a million other games promising the same thing.
Literally sitting here drinking caffeine with a fucking LED panel sitting on my ceiling, an RGB filled PC, and yeah, I kind of fit that.
But there's another catch. They're all promising the same thing. How awesome would it be to finally have a World of Warcraft expansion or experience with a slower pace, a chiller vibe, and some good old fun exploration? And no, I'm not talking about the cozy game genre, which, side note, it's probably growing fast because more people are wanting that type of vibe, but I don't want WoW to be a farming sim or an idle game. I would want the upcoming WoW expansions to feel like classic WoW and Season of Discovery in their pacing. Slowed down, less high stakes, less flashy lights, less progression systems, with more corners to explore, whether they're empty or not. I don't have a proposed solution, and I'm not saying by any means I hate World of Warcraft now or that I'm quitting retail. No, none of that. I just wanted to throw my...
Is this GM Island or something? I've never seen this in game. What the hell is this?
...hat and my feelings into the ring, and I'm sure some of you out there would feel the same. I still like to just sit on the cliffs of Thunderbluff and look out on Mulgore.
It is GM Island,
I still like to hear the music of Elwyn Forest and Stormwind as I'm strolling through. And sometimes, even as a heroic raider in Dragonflight, I still like to RP walk. And I hope that I'm not alone in saying I miss when games were games and we would play just for fun. Thanks for watching and take care.
Damn, man. This video got me in the feels. It's a great video. And look, man, as the Stormwind music continues here, I don't know if it's a World of Warcraft thing or it's a full gaming industry thing, but most definitely, you know, as the wise Garrosh once said, times change. And times have changed. Gaming is different now. It's all about, you know, even when a new game drops. Yes, the beginning part is very fun when everyone sucks and it's noobified and it's just about having fun. But man, how quickly people turn shit into a meta and start, you know, dropping shit on the internet of how-to guides and all this shit, and people just start fucking silly games like Fall Guys have a meta path and shit now. Like, you can literally go on YouTube and look up Fall Guys meta paths and figure out how to quickly run through a race. Like, that's how ridiculous gaming is now. So that's why I say it's really not just a WoW thing. Like, yes, devs now create dopamine hit, you know, shit that'll just keep cranking you through content and push you further into the game and basically make you want to be the best. But it's also, I think, just a people thing. It's a maturity of gaming thing. It's just, it is what it is now in the industry, and it is what it is in people's minds in terms of how they play games. This is what I always said. Blizzard started listening to people that didn't like WoW instead of listening to people that like WoW back in the days. Well, I mean, they started listening to the popular players, right? The thing is, a community in a game, no matter what, is always going to prop up the most popular, the best people, right? Like the best PvPer, the best raiders. Like we idolize those people, so yes, they get propped up, but that doesn't mean that those people know what's best for the game. Those are the 1%ers, right? Imagine a society where the 1%ers determine how the rules work. Oh, fuck, that's called IRL. That is how the real world works, but we don't want that to happen in games, right? That's not how we fucking want it to be in a game. A game is supposed to be an escape from the real world. So, I mean, yeah, I feel like Blizzard's doing a much better job now of listening to feedback. I feel like they've been doing that since Shadowlands ended. Like, they've really been taking feedback in terms of, like, from multiple people in the community, not just the top-end players. And it's led to better gameplay. Hopefully that continues and we keep going in the right direction with the War Within.